Right, I think we've got it going. Hello there, beautiful, sensitive souls, and welcome to Surviving to Thriving, where we address how to move from struggle and barely surviving, just feeling overwhelmed in a world that is seemingly too big, too fast, too loud, just too much, to really being able to thrive as highly sensing people. And part of that is like achieving a sense of calm and being okay with being highly sensing. And I am your host and high sensory coach, Tammy Goen. I'm glad as always that you are here. And I just wanted to share, I've come to understand a vision that I have that I'm going to start sharing each time starting this week. So I wanted to do that today. And I really do have this vision that every single highly sensing woman will be able to stop hiding and feeling wrong, playing small, and stop trying to be less sensitive or not at all sensitive, and really come to honor her amazing and unique skills and talents that often come from the sensitivity side, and to embrace her sensitive nature so that she can be a gentle yet strong force in the world. So that's my vision, my mission. So I'm so glad to have you here and hopefully help you along that journey. And this month, the topic is spirituality. I always like to start with a quote if I find something that I like. And so this is the one I found today. Know what sparks the light in you so that you, in your own way, can illuminate the world. And some of you might recognize that. That was spoken by Oprah Winfrey. She has a lot of good nuggets usually. So I like that one just because it suggests where I'm going to go with this idea of spirituality without having it be necessarily something specifically that's religious or any ideas that we have, but really connecting with our true essence, if you will. You can call that soul, you can call that, energy, soul, whatever you want to call that. But that piece of us that really is not our body. There's, something more to us than just this vessel. So connecting with that in whatever way that is what is key and what I want to be talking about. So I loved that quote, and I have no idea where she said that, but I'm sure other people probably have recognized that or said, oh, I remember hearing her say that. So what does spirituality mean for you? And as I said, it doesn't necessarily mean something religious, although it can be. It doesn't have to be anything organized, though it can be. But what is that really for you? If you just take a moment and say, when you hear the term spiritual, and that's how I refer to myself all the time, that I am a spiritual being, what does that mean for you? Because it's different for everyone. For some, that's connecting with a higher power, some kind of another source, the universe, God, whatever term that you might have been brought up with, or that you've gravitated toward, or that just, sits well with you. Whatever that is something outside of you or part of you, but not just this little bit of you, this little you. And sometimes that is connecting with a specific organized religion or focus. And sometimes it's being in something, say, more like Unitarian or some kind of organized yet not traditional religious perspective. And sometimes that's doing things on our own. Sometimes it's just a feeling, an essence of being part of something greater, but not looking to worship something or someone or in a certain way. And sometimes people have their very own ways of expressing their spirituality. Some are very, very quiet about it. So whatever that is, just take a moment to think about what that is for you. Maybe how would you describe that to someone? If someone says, hey, are you religious or are you spiritual, or, where are you at with that? What would you say to them? And for me, it's a matter of, it's definitely very personal. I feel connected to something larger than myself. I connect with the idea of having a greater consciousness, that we all are connected, whether that you see that as a holographic idea or a matrix kind of thing, but there is just this greater energy that we're all part of. And I'm still constantly searching to get more ideas of things that really resonate and that fit to answer all of the big questions that still haven't been answered for me. But I'm always on that quest. And that's where my side comes, or my viewpoint comes from, is that I am part of this greater something. I don't have all the answers. There's the more answers that I get, the more I end up having. And just being open to this journey of learning to be in that place of connection, and learning more about myself, connecting with my deeper self, not just this vessel here, but whatever is deeper. And I actually remember, this just popped up, back when I was 6 years old, and I don't know why I remember that I was exactly that age. I just remember like a little snippet of that day, as if someone was videotaping me. And I don't know if this came up in school. It doesn't seem like something that would come up for first grader, but I had this idea of what is infinity. And I thought about that for so long that I kind of wigged myself out a bit, and I had to just make myself stop thinking about it, because it was just so big and expansive, and I couldn't get my head around it, because I kept thinking, well, if everything is infinite, how can it just keep going? It has to go, there has to be within something. But then what's on the other side of that? And I just remember doing this, being in this rabbit hole and really struggling to get myself out. I said, whoo, I can't think about stuff like that. But I always have thought about stuff like that, even as a 6-year-old. So that might resonate with some of you too, that you've always had probably these ideas pop into your head of, why this, or being curious about this, and maybe there aren't any specific answers, or maybe other people are thinking you're strange for why are you asking that question? That's weird, or that doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. But you have these things come up. So that's very common for a lot of people, but especially for HSPs, I think. And it's, again, part of that feeling of being not just the day-to-day, get up, do your thing, go to bed, repeat, with taking care of this body, and then that's it, that there's something more. So HSPs in general do tend to be more connected spiritually, for, again, whatever that means, and not necessarily religiously, but sometimes. And we're connected with our intuition, our inner wisdom, our inner knowing. We don't always listen, as I talked about last week in talking with Taylor, that we can be aware that it's there, but we can discount it. We can say, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about, or, oh, that can't be, about me, or that can't be right. So we kind of discount that, let that go. But we do have that tendency to connect more with that. And if we learn to hone that or listen, it can be really, really powerful if we can trust that. And then we do tend to have a connection with some kind of divine guidance, greater consciousness, awareness, the universe, whatever it is that you resonate with most. That does tend to be a factor, more so with highly sensing people. So we can look at it in terms of connection with soul, with energy, with non-body, non-material experiences, our dreams, our imagination. All of these things tend to be pretty prominent for highly sensing people. We tend to have really strong imaginations and come up with things that other people just go, where did that come from? And it can be really amazing. Sometimes it can be a little bit disconcerting if no one else is on board with you. But our dreams tend to be really vivid and lots going on. And if we can connect with those, sometimes we can get a lot of messages, but this idea of connecting with something that's greater than just this one limited body. And we do tend to strive toward wholeness. So this idea of being holistic and seeing things, all the different parts of things, and seeing all the parts of the greater whole, and how all of those contribute and work together and collaborate. And so that makes sense for us to say, like, on a bigger picture, energetically, spiritually, that, oh, there's something big here, and I don't have all of the answers, but I'm very curious and always striving to understand and learn more. Very, very common for us. And I have another quote that's just kind of explaining some things. So Elaine Aron, as I've talked with you about several times, she was the pioneer in research for high sensitivity. She coined the term. She did all of that early research in the 90s. And one of the ways that she started doing her research was having gatherings for folks that wanted to learn more about this idea that she had about people that have high sensory ability. And one of the gatherings that she had in, I believe, 92, was just, all highly sensing people, if you consider yourself that, or you want to learn more. And so no specific topic other than that. And when they came up to the idea of religion or spirituality, she says, and this is a quote from her book, and if you have not read her book, just Sensitive, the highly sensitive person, sorry. The second book that's come out, not hers, but most recently, that's really specific on high sensitivity, I also recommend, and that one is just called Sensitive. It's got a really long subtitle that I tend to forget, but it's really amazing. So both of those are very valuable and really helpful if you're trying to understand yourself more or understand high sensitivity in general. So in her first book and in her findings, she reports that in this initial gathering with all of these HSPs and others who were interested, feelings about organized religion were very strong. There were a few who were very committed, and the rest were dissatisfied or even disdainful. But unorganized religion thrived. About half followed some daily practice that took them inward to touch the spiritual dimension. So I found that just rather fascinating, that it wasn't some kind of a talk on spirituality. It was just something that happened to come up in this gathering. And that was something that she continued to see as she was doing her research and connecting with other HSPs. There seems to be this drive toward knowing more, seeing the bigger picture, wanting to understand more of the bigger picture. And then because we tend to want to really be connected, that tends to bring us into other groups that are also seeking those things, whether that's an organized religion container or non-organized, or just small groups of people getting together and talking about these things. I know with my highly sensing folks, friends, when I'm spending time with them, it almost always comes up on some level, some topic related to spirituality in some way, because we're just seeking, diving in, and it's really fascinating for us. So that's very, very common. So if you experience that and don't see that with other people who maybe aren't highly sensing, just know that, oh, okay, yeah, that's a normal thing. And, maybe that's a good thing to pursue and expand and let that grow. And if you are thinking about, this is a huge topic, so I'm just going to be just barely breaking the surface today, but I wanted to just kind of give kind of an overview and then some ideas. So I wanted to just share some things on if you are aware of that inclination to be more spiritual, but you're not really sure what to do with it, or the things that you've come up with or come across don't really resonate. Here are some thoughts on how to expand your consciousness, if you will, or do that reaching out to learn more and expand spiritually. So one thing that's always really good, especially if you are in a family or a partnership, or you don't live alone in, whatever your situation is to make sure that you can create some kind of a sacred space. And that can look very different for everybody, but it's a place that's going to be quiet, where it won't have any distractions, where won't be disturbed, where it's super comfortable, to where it just really resonates, so that you feel totally calm, totally at peace, and you can be in the moment when you are there, so that you can just let everything go and just really focus. I mean, you might have an altar if you wish. You might just have some really cozy, fluffy pillows and a blanket, maybe some really nice music options there. It might be completely free and open and hardly anything in there, so that the space is just expansive. It might be super, not confining, but cozy, pulled up kind of a little corner area where everything else is, kind of shut away. Whatever that is for you, just having that really special space that allows you to be in these places where you can think and let go and not think, or, whatever it is that you're wanting to do to be able to connect more, internally or with the divine, or however you see that. So another idea is practicing that in this space, or another area that you have for this. Maybe you have a little yoga studio in your house or something like that, but actually practicing becoming quiet and being in the present and letting go of the outside world. So that might look like meditation or breathing and some kind of breath work, some kind of actual focused consideration. Say, oh, I've got this question running around in my head and I'm not coming up with any answers, because your head, your mind's always going and all these things are getting in the way. So if you say, well, I'm going to sit with this idea And so you go into that special place, your sacred spot, or some place where you're not going to be disturbed, and you can just sit quietly and not be doing, not completing things, and not disturbed at all, and just sit with that question and allow something to come up. One of the most powerful things that I've done myself a couple times is to have a silent retreat by myself, where, so I live alone, so I can do that in my house, but you could do it. Sometimes people will, get a motel room for a night or 2 nights, and you just shut everything off completely, not even any music or anything that you would normally listen to or watch, and just be and journal and maybe do some yoga, but quietly on your own, but something where you're just with you and just quiet. And when that happens and everything else starts to recede, we can suddenly get these ideas we haven't thought of for a long time, answers to questions that we have. These things will just pop up, and stuff that's been percolating will rise to the surface because there isn't all of this other stuff in the way. So having that as a regular practice, not for an entire day, of course, but say 10 minutes or 15 minutes every morning to have your meditation time or your quiet time to reflect on something. And for some people that would be journaling or writing. Some people don't like that. It can be a very powerful tool for, again, bringing that stuff that's just below the surface up to consciousness levels to be aware. And then as you start to write, you kind of shift back into that unconscious and bridge those together when you're writing those things. If you don't have, it too regimented, if you just say, I'm just going to write to write, and whatever comes up, comes up. And then a lot of times that will happen. So you can consider a specific topic and say, I'm really curious about this. And then just write whatever comes up, or sit with it for a little bit and see what pops up, and then decide to pursue that. Excuse me. And you can journal for many, many, many reasons, but sometimes it's really, really helpful to just have a specific intention or a question and just say, wow, I'm just curious about this. I don't know what it's about. And then just see what comes. Another would be writing down your dreams and then considering them. See if there's a theme, a message, or, sometimes you wake up and you've had this maybe wild, crazy dream, and you're like, I have no idea what that's about. But if you think about it for a while, some things can start to kind of pop into your consciousness where you're like, well, that makes me think of this, or I wonder if that's related to this, or well, that's interesting. It brings me back to, something 10 years ago or whatever. So sometimes I know for myself, my dreams are so intense. I always wake up thinking, I'm always going to remember that. I'm never going to forget that. That was crazy. But I do. Within 5 minutes, I've completely forgotten if I haven't written it down. So writing them down first, and then spending that time maybe in your quiet space that morning, a little bit later, and say, oh, what comes to me from this? So just using that dream space as a tool, as a guide. And then creating can be an amazing way to really connect with our inner guidance, and even, the divine, however you see all of that, right? Whether that's writing poetry or any other kind of writing, painting, drawing, dancing. For some people, that's cooking. That would not be my thing, but some really get into that zone when they're cooking. So something that you can really get in that flow state that allows you to put everything else away and just be in the present moment. And then we can go in deeper and connect more with what's really going on with us, but also that connection with something bigger. And sometimes just having an intention, we can set this when we're doing meditation, or just say, oh, I'm ready for my day. And you set an intention for expansion, for having questions answered, for opening the heart to being able to receive more. Intention is super powerful. And I can forget this quite often, to just do that simple thing. Say, I'm ready for my day. My intention for today is, and set that intention. And then your energy is going that direction to help all of that come along to you. So it's a way to get specific questions answered if you want. And then you can post questions directly to say, I want my guides, my angels, my inner wisdom, something to be listening, paying attention, and sending me messages today. And actually reach out and ask for that. And then again, we can do that in meditation, or we can be going to bed and say, in my dream time tonight, my intention is to connect with my inner wisdom or the divine or whatever to get an answer for this. Something like that with that specific intention. And then I liked this idea was also from Elaine Aron. She suggested keeping a spiritual journal specifically for 1 month and just logging in everything that is non-material, non-day-to-day stuff. Just write it all down. No specific purpose other than just to review, kind of, again, watch for patterns, maybe see like, wow, this keeps coming up. I wonder what that means. And then you can consider it more. And maybe there's an answer in there for you of a question that you've had for a while. But I like that idea of doing it for like a month. And so you can start looking for patterns, or you get so used to it that it becomes easier, and maybe you even go deeper with some of the things that you're writing about. So those are just some ideas on how to increase, expand your spiritual side, your spiritual nature, connecting with whatever that larger energy for you is. So what I'd like to do today is wrap up with an actual practice of that, a guided meditation to help you connect a little bit deeper. So I'm going to use the term divine just so that I'm not using a whole bunch of different things and it doesn't get all convoluted. But when I say divine, I mean, spirit, God, universe, matrix, whatever it is for you that is outside of but connected to your part of, that greater consciousness idea, whatever that is for you. So I'm just going to use the term divine. So feel free to use whatever you would like if something fits better. So wherever you are, if you can, go ahead and just settle into a nice, comfortable position with your back nice and straight. If you want to close down your eyes, great. If you want to just kind of soften your gaze and stare forward, just pick a point to look at. And if you can be in a place where you're not going to be disturbed, great, or put on your headphones or something so that you can really take this time to be able to go within. And then as you settle in, feel your feet on the ground or wherever you are. And just allow yourself to kind of sink down into your space. And imagine that you have roots extended from your feet, from your core, down into the earth. And really connecting with that supportive, loving, nurturing energy. Just feeling grounded in the earth. And then paying attention to your breath, noticing as it comes in through your nose and leaving either through your nose or your mouth, whatever is comfortable for you. Feeling nice and grounded, paying attention to that breath, and see if you can let your exhale be a little bit longer than your inhale. Just activate that vagus nerve so that we can really shift into relax mode. Letting everything go, telling our bodies that we are safe. Air coming in through the nose, filling up your body, releasing through the nose or mouth. And as the inhale comes in, imagine that going directly into your heart space. And as you exhale, letting go of any kind of constrictions or toxins or tension, anything that's in your way, just letting that all release. And as that breath comes in, it comes right into your heart center and expands into every cell of your body. And with each exhalation, anything unwanted is released. And with those exhalations, with every one, you feel just a little bit more relaxed. Allowing that breath to stay nice and steady with that exhale nice and long, rooted into the earth. And allowing that breath to continue to fill your heart space, fill your entire body, every cell, releasing all that doesn't serve you. And now also be aware up above your head, bringing in a bright white or golden light from the cosmos, from the divine, down into the top of your head and into your body, into your energy system, circulating through your body with those inhalations that come to your heart center and spread out through your body. Now you have this mixture of this loving light that comes in with your inhale and this beautiful bright light coming in through the top of your head. And as this happens, imagine your heart space expanding like a flower with all of its petals opening to the sun, expanding and reaching farther and farther open and out. And having a sense of being receptive to that air coming in, to the energy coming in, support and love, and that light coming in from the divine through the top of your head fills up that heart space. Maybe you're even aware of it kind of pulsing or vibrating, just feeling it expanding and expanding. And coming into your heart space, but imagine that that is in the very core of your being. It's not so much on the front of your body. It's access through the front, the sides, the back, the top and the bottom. It's your true soul core, the very center of you in this physical form right now. But going beyond that physical, and this love and light and this divine energy coming in and swirling all around and filling up this core of you. And see if you can notice a vibration, a feeling of some kind of energy connecting with a field that is you, but is not you. It's housing itself at the moment within you, but it expands so far, far beyond you. It really has no end. And you are constantly replenished through your in-breath and that shaft of light coming down into your head, constant replenishing, everything not needed being released. And you are now just this vibrant, energetic being, connected with the earth, connected with the divine, connected with all the energy and consciousness around you. Just being aware of what that sensation is like, connecting with that energy. If you have a specific question that's been on your mind, you can ask it now. Send that out to the cosmos and the divine, to the earth, to the greater consciousness. Just put that question out there and be aware of your openness in your heart area to receiving a message at some point. Maybe it's instantaneous, maybe it'll be an hour from now, maybe it'll be tomorrow. Maybe at first you won't recognize what that means, but just being open to what that message is. And being aware of that breath coming in, spreading throughout your body. And now coming to be aware of your space, where you're sitting, what's surrounding you. And make sure that you are feeling centered and stable and really present in your space now. Thank you so much for being here. I would love to actually find out if anyone wants to let me know what you experience in terms of receiving a message to your question, or what that experience was like, or just any thoughts that you have on spirituality or being highly sensing. As always, it's really great to have you here. I look forward to seeing you again next week. And as always, you can connect with me on Linktree, just with my name, Tammy Goen, and you can find all of my resources and ways to connect on there. And I hope you have a really amazing, amazing day and a great week. We'll see you next time.